The loud scandal surrounding Donald Trump's possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein's files continues. And this time, it seems Donald Trump won't be able to simply distance himself. And in fact, Trump is only digging his own grave with his statements. The day before, the newspaper published that in 2003, Epstein allegedly received a card from Donald Trump for his 50th birthday, in which Trump wrote, "Happy birthday and may every day be another wonderful secret." Trump has already denied writing that, calling it fake. He allegedly ordered Attorney General Pam Bondi to release all the grand jury materials on the Jeffrey Epstein case, if the court approves it. And he's already suing the newspaper. But the scandal is only getting bigger, and now some prominent supporters of the Make America Great Again movement are turning against Trump, saying that Trump has been lying. Trump's comments on releasing the Epstein files are being interpreted as proof of his involvement in the case. And now there's also a newspaper publication that's fueling this whole scandal. So I suggest that in this episode we discuss the latest news surrounding the high-profile Epstein case scandal and the possible involvement of Donald Trump in this case. What does Trump say? What do American analysts say? And what do his supporters say? Yesterday's supporters of Donald Trump from the Make America Great Again movement, who today suddenly claimed that apparently Trump is actually involved because he is behaving quite strangely. My name is Alexei Pechi. It's July 18th on the calendar. We'll get to everything in order, but before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, leave a like, write any comment, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pechi News. The link to it is in the description of this video. So, the scandal continues around Jeffrey Epstein and the likely involvement of Trump with him. And just recently a newspaper came out with a scathing article in which they wrote that when Jeffrey Epstein turned 50 years old, Ghislaine Maxwell prepared a special gift for this occasion, and she reached out to Epstein's family and friends asking them to write cards to Epstein. And one of them was Donald Trump. According to the documents reviewed in Maxwell, who, by the way, is serving time in prison, collected letters from Trump and dozens of other Epstein associates for a birthday album in 2003. According to people who have seen the pages of this leather-bound album, which was put together before Epstein's first arrest in 2006, they are among the documents reviewed by Justice Department officials who investigated the Epstein and Maxwell case many years ago. It is unclear, the newspaper writes, whether any of these pages were part of the recent review by the Trump administration. Let me remind you that recently the United States Justice Department said that yes, there is absolutely no evidence that Trump was involved in any way. Epstein definitely committed suicide, and he has no client lists, so there is nothing to declassify there at all. Trump then spent days dismissing the hysteria, calling it a Democrat hoax and saying there was nothing to declassify. As reported by the newspaper, the president's past relationship with Epstein is facing challenges. Documents from the Department of Justice, the so-called Epstein files, and whoever or whatever is in them, ended up at the center of the storm that engulfed the Trump administration. On Wednesday, after angry statements that these files are a fake created by the Democrats, President Trump lashed out at his supporters for not wanting to let this issue go unnoticed. A letter with Trump's name, which was reviewed by the newspaper, is obscene, just like the other letters in the album. It consists of several lines of typed text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a thick marker. A couple of small arcs represent the woman's breasts, and the signature of the future president is a wavy inscription, Donald, below her waist, imitating pubic hair. Sorry, I'm quoting. The letter ends with the words, "Happy birthday, and may each day become another wonderful secret." Well, a hint that there's something to hide. In an interview with the newspaper on Tuesday, Trump denied writing this letter or drawing this card. He stated, quote, "That's not me, that's fake. I've never painted a single picture in my life. I don't draw women, that's not my language, those aren't my words," and so on. He said that he is preparing to file a lawsuit if the publication releases this article. As he stated, "I will sue them just like everyone else." This article was ultimately published, and we are now analyzing it together. The accusations against Epstein of sexual abuse of girls became public knowledge. In 2006 and in the same year, he was arrested. Epstein died in prison in 2019 after being rearrested on charges of conspiracy to traffic humans for sexual exploitation. Representatives of the Department of Justice have still not responded to requests for comment and have not answered questions about whether Trump's pages and other pages from the birthday album were part of the agency's recent document review. The FBI also declined to comment. The existence of the album and the contents of the congratulatory letters had not been previously reported. And so, according to documents and sources familiar with them, the album contained poems, photographs, and congratulations from businessmen, scientists, Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriends, and childhood friends. Among those who sent letters were billionaire Leslie Wexner and lawyer Alan Dershowitz. At that time, Epstein was Wexner's financial manager. And so, the longtime head of Victoria's Secret wrote a short message. "I wanted to give you what you want, so here it is." And after the text, there was a drawing of something resembling a woman's breast. Wexner declined to comment through his representative, and previously, Wexner's representative told the publication that the retail tycoon had severed all ties with Epstein. In 2007, he stopped communicating with him. Wexner, like Trump, claims he hasn't communicated with him for a long time, though he used to in the past. Nevertheless, as the publication writes, it's unclear how the letter with Donald Trump's signature was prepared. Inside the outline of the naked woman, there was a typewritten note styled as an imaginary conversation between Trump and Epstein, written in the third person. And so, I'll go ahead and quote this note. Voiceover. There must be more to life than just having everything. Donald. Yes, there is, but I won't say what it is, Jeffrey. Jeffrey. I won't either, because I know what it is too. Donald, we have something in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, if you think about it, we really do, Donald. Riddles never get old. Have you noticed that, Jeffrey? Actually, it was clear to me even back when I last saw you. Donald, my friend, that's wonderful. Happy birthday, birthday, and may each day bring another wonderful secret. Well, to those who read this note, like the journalists from the publication, it might seem strange that everything is so convoluted, with some secrets and hints that there's something to hide. And as it goes on to say, by the age of 50, Epstein was already wealthy, managing Wexner's fortune, and was associating with Trump, Clinton, and other influential people. He often hosted guests at his townhouse in Manhattan, in Palm Beach, Florida, as well as at his home and on his private island in the Caribbean. A representative for Clinton referred to a 2019 statement saying that former President Clinton had severed all ties. More than 10 years before Epstein's second arrest, and was not aware of Epstein's alleged crimes. Epstein and Trump spent time together in the 1990s and early 2000s and were photographed at social events, including with that very same Maxwell and Melania Trump. A video from 1992 shows Trump spending time with Epstein at his Mar-a-Lago estate. And you can see Trump pulling a woman toward him and patting her on the butt. Trump, like others including Clinton, also appeared several times in the flight logs of Epstein's private plane, which flew to that very island. And in an article about Epstein in a magazine from 2002, they quoted Trump's words, quote, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. He's a terrific, fun guy to be with. They say he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are young. There's no doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys the high society life." Donald Trump has already stated that his friendship with Epstein ended before Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting a minor for prostitution. In 2008, even before he served time in a Florida prison and was officially registered as a sex offender. When Epstein was arrested again in 2019, Trump stated that he hadn't spoken to him for about 15 years. As he stated, "I knew him just like everyone else in Palm Beach. I was not a fan of his, that's for sure." In 2023, Trump's press secretary reported that Trump had, at some point in the past, banned Epstein from visiting his Mar-a-Lago club, without going into details. Maxwell is that same British socialite who was convicted in 2021 for assisting Epstein in sex trafficking and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Maxwell also isn't responding right now, not answering journalists' letters requesting a comment about this congratulatory album. And Maxwell's lawyer stated that at the moment she is focused on her case in the United States Supreme Court. He said there will be no further comments. And Epstein's connections with Trump and many influential people are well documented. Questions remain about what information the FBI has on Epstein and his influential friends, because in 2019, the FBI confiscated evidence from Epstein's properties in the United States Virgin Islands and in New York. Earlier this week, after being asked to comment on this note, Trump told reporters at the White House that, in his opinion, some of Epstein's files were fabricated by former Presidents Barack Obama and Joe Biden, as well as former FBI Director James Comey. Well, implying they're all Democrats, that it's their fabrication. So they also forged documents to make everyone think that Trump was involved in this too. He stated that the decision to publish further documents on Epstein would be made by Attorney General Pam Bondi. As he stated, she should publish everything she considers credible. But what's interesting here is that the accusation that bureaucrats covered up Epstein's connections with participants in his human trafficking scheme was supported by people who now hold high positions in the Trump administration, including FBI Director Kesh Patel and his deputy Dan Banjan. In June 2024, in an interview with a television channel, Trump was asked if he would release the Epstein case materials. And at that time, the then presidential candidate said, "Yes, of course, I will release them." But he also expressed some doubts even then and said, quote, "It's not worth ruining people's lives if it's all fake, because there's a lot of fake in this whole world. But I think I would do it." Shortly after being appointed as Attorney General, Pam Bondi stated that she was preparing to release new materials on the Epstein case. And at the end of February this year, Bondi announced the release of the first phase of documents. However, there was nothing new in these materials. Moreover, there was nothing at all about Epstein's connections with other influential people. Overall, journalists had long been aware of the information. Initially, Bondi accused the New York branch of the FBI of hiding information and promised to publish the remaining documents after removing the victims' names. Patel also stated, quote, "There will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, and no corrective actions will be taken." As a result, they tasked hundreds of FBI staff to review and ready the documents for release. And the issue gained new life in June, when Elon Musk, amid a public feud with Trump, claimed that the FBI was hiding documents related to the Epstein case because Donald Trump was mentioned in the files. On June 5th, Elon Musk wrote, "The truth will come out." July 7th, the Department of Justice backed out of Pam Bondi's promise to release additional documents on the Epstein case. And the Justice Department stated that after, quote, "a thorough review, they did not find a client list compromising Epstein or any additional documents that require disclosure." Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee this week have already demanded that Chairman Republican Jim Jordan hold a hearing on how the Trump administration handled the Epstein files, and if necessary, subpoena Bondi, Patel, and Banjan. At the Ministers' Committee meeting on July 8th, Trump criticized the reporter for asking about Epstein and said the following, quote, "People are still talking about this Barney, about this scoundrel. It's incredible. Do you want to waste time on this?" On the same day, Elon Musk wrote on social media, "How can people be expected to believe Trump if he doesn't release the Epstein files?" And today Trump says, "That's it, I promise, I will release those Epstein files for you, but a little later." This is reminiscent of Pam Bondi's behavior, who in February published the first part and was criticized for not including anything new. That's just something you took from a newspaper and published. That's not revealing any secrets. She blames the FBI agents and says they will find and publish the information now. Then a few months of silence pass, nothing happens. Elon Musk reminds them that they promised to publish it. Representatives from the Department of Justice and the FBI come out and say, "Listen, yes, we've reviewed the files again. Basically, there's nothing to reveal to you. We're not going to show you anything because there's nothing new there." A new wave of criticism starts, like, "Listen, maybe you hid something," and then they publish information saying, "Here is proof that Trump had contact with Epstein, not only in the 90s, but much later as well." And now the FBI, the Justice Department, and the Trump administration are being accused by some of hiding certain information and most likely covering it up right now. Trump's people say no, Everything that comes out against the current president is all fabricated by Joe Biden and Barack Obama. In general, I think this saga will go on for a very long time. And today the President of the United States announced that he is suing for that. Right? They published that very postcard from 2003 addressed to Epstein, in which he wrote like, "Let every day be another beautiful secret." Trump repeated once again that, "I don't draw, that's not my handwriting, I would never draw something like that, that's definitely not my postcard." As for the Make America Great Again movement, there's an interesting story here as well, because some people from the Make America Great Again movement, who very loudly criticized Donald Trump for not releasing this data, today said, well, okay, let's give the president a chance. If he promises to release these files, let's wait a little bit. But obviously the patience of Make America Great Again supporters is also running out. They're already starting to say that most likely Trump has something to hide. And now, some supporters of the Make America Great Again movement, such as the far-right activist Laura Loomer, have called for appointing a special prosecutor to investigate whether the Justice Department and the FBI are hiding information. Pam Bondi, Attorney General. Because there is suspicion that there is something to publish, but for some reason they still haven't done it. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinion and conclusions in the comments under this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's all for now. Take care, everyone. Bye. Subtitles created by